Twitch is taking its time. Ah, there we are. Oh, I have a stiff neck. I slept on it funny, by which I mean that I basically slept upside down, like on my neck. Not something that you should be doing. It's not a very comfortable way for things to go, but had some weird night, so that's what happens. Streaming, game dev, doing ship interior stuff, and stuff, I guess. Oh, this is actually might be a problem. My neck is really stiff, and I actually took some painkillers. Oh well, maybe they're wearing off now, and that's the problem. Whew. Let me just clean my glasses. How exciting, right? This is why you're here. I spent the week trying to figure out how to do certain things in Unreal. Couldn't figure it out. As far as I can tell, there's no way to do it in Unreal outside of play mode. I can do it in play mode just fine, but I wasn't planning on building these ships in play mode. So we're going to have to come up with some half-assed solutions, and that's what we're going to do today. So here is a mission, or rather, not a mission, a file that I created specifically for these. There we are. Specifically for these interior elements, and I've got a bunch of these interior elements already set up. And I figured that what we should do is put them in Unreal, which happens to be right here. So what I've done is I've added this base plane in Unreal. You can see this white sheet. It's really pretty aggressive and obvious. What I'd like to do is just visually hide it. I don't really know the easiest way to do that. If I hide the mesh, do you think the collider will still count? Let's try it. So if I hide the mesh and then I go into our hiccup filled stuff and drop it down. Nope, if I hide the mesh, it doesn't count. So the whole point here is that this is a surface that helps me link up the various things I put in. So if I were to drop in this bulldog, for example, I can put it in and it's going to be on the right plane. And if I were to expand it to the right size, you can see how that would work just fine. It would link right up if I were to remove this thing on the end in the way. And so that is an easy way for us to do this creation here, but having a big flashing white screen here box here is just the worst. So I guess what I'm going to try and do is get rid of the material opacity. So I guess I'll probably have to create a new material for that. I don't know. Well, that's cute, but it's certainly not what I want. So we'll go back out here into content. We'll just create it right here in the middle of nowhere for no particular reason. We'll figure out exactly what we want later. We're going to call this editor transparency. Yeah. We'll drop that on. Boom. And you can see that it's beautiful. Oh, so beautiful. And obviously that's not what we want it to be, so we're going to pop it open and create ourselves a... How did I manage to get more thumbprints on my lenses? I have a feeling this shirt might be mostly Lycra or whatever it is, the fake stuff. Doesn't really clean glasses very well. Well, so we called it editor transparency, but it's currently in opaque mode. We're going to go ahead and put it into, you know, an additive mode would probably be best. If we put it into additive mode, a deferred decal. Oh, you can't see this screen. Sorry. I'm playing around over here. No, stop that. There we are. Translucent. So if we were to... I don't think this is going to work, but it would be interesting to try it. All right, so here you can see that it is creating a black plane. It's not completely opaque, but it's very, very dark. If we go into the... I got too many of these things. Let's delete this one. Boom. If we go into this one here and we just drop one of these in, it does appear to be correctly attracting his attention. So now the key is to make this the right opacity. So if we were to add in an opacity here of, oh, let's try 0. Let's see what happens. Yeah, so now it's completely opaque, or rather transparent. And if we drop this in, it is correct. Hooray! So we can create a transparent base plane like that. And there are probably other ways to do it. I just was testing something, and we'll have to test some other stuff too. You know, while we're here, let's just do some tests. Let's just have some fun. Here's a cube. Let's drop it on top of the ship. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make another material. If we were to copy paste this editor transparency, we're going to call this a decal test. And we'll just drop the decal test onto this bad boy. Boy, that didn't work. Oh, is it a decal actor? Why can't I drag it into the scene? That's... Okay, so apparently the decals actually come with their own... that's interesting. Okay, so I think what's going on here is that the decals have their own object type. Yeah, so there we are. So this is like super easy. Okay, no reason to worry about decals, everybody. They're super easy in Unreal. I'm a little bit panicky about decals because in Unity they are a tremendous pain in the ass. But here in Unreal, they are literally just drag and drop. That's pretty great. Obviously, I'm decaling a black shadow rather than like an image or something, but it's pretty trivial to change that. We're not too worried about it. All right, well, now with decals sorted, let's go ahead and think about what else we want to do. And one of the things I would like to do is set up the interior. So to do that, we're going to grab the top of this thing, not that one, and then drag it off to the side. And then here you can see we've got these top elements. You can drag them off into the side as well. And this is the interior of our ship, which you can see is kind of like cross-shaped because I wanted to test how much we could fit. So I've got a couple of things in here already, but they're just placeholders. So we're going to go ahead and delete them and import ourselves some real stuff. Hiccup, hiccup, hiccup. Let's just take a look here. We got to change these all into export recursive. Most of them should already be because I was paying attention. That one's just a handle, though. We don't want that one to be recursive. F pipes. That one's definitely recursive. Sample. These two are tests. They don't need to be. And then there. Okay, so now we're just going to export everything. Go over into Unreal. Import all 11 times, or however many times it takes. Oh, twice? Really? That was fast. Oh, no, there it is. I'm drinking some caffeinated beverage, and ooh, it's awful. Maybe I'll stop drinking that caffeinated beverage. All right, so that should be here. And you can see we've got some stuff here. So the header is always going to be SM_ because that just happens to be what we export with from Blender. It's like the prefix they always add. After that, we've got a designator, H for hull, M for module, P for pressure units, and W for wall. And I think there's one other floating around here. But either way, what we're really looking for here is walls. So if we were to take this bathroom and drop it in, Night Fury says, what the heck are you making? We are trying to put together a new spaceship construction game. Oh, it looks like I damaged the flooring here. Hold on. Okay, so I exported these from another file and they got all screwed up, but that's not a huge deal. I'll just delete them for now. I'm trying to put together a spaceship construction game that that has some interesting stuff to it, some interesting ideas to it. It's not just voxels. But I'm still kind of playing around with things at the moment. I haven't gotten anywhere near the game part yet. And right now I'm just kind of cleaning stuff up. Night Fury says, whoa, the model looks cool. It's a lot less cool than you might think at the moment. It's just barely getting started. But in theory, it will someday look pretty good. What I don't understand is what happened to this bad boy. What did I exported it from here. This is the one that's not it. This is the one I exported over here. Now the change I made is that I moved the center point, the axis here, to the center. Previously it was off to the side, so everything should be offset by like 2.5 meters, and that's probably what's causing us all these glitches. I guess that's not too bad. I think that's more or less correct. No, it's cutting through. Oh, the whole thing has been shifted. Oh, of course. So we'll just move absolutely everything. Is that enough? Yeah, that's perfect. And now we're still missing some walls, but we'll just put those back in. Copy, paste, and then spin them in. Copy, paste, and spin them in. Are there two of you here, or is this just one of you? That's just one, okay. Copy, paste, and spin them in. Paste, and spin them in. Now we've got the walls. Now the ceiling we'll put back on later. But what we really want to do here is these interiors need to start to exist, and there's a couple of things we want to do to make that happen. This is an example of the kind of interior module we'll be putting in. Fundamentally, the idea is that these voxel units, these interior voxel spaces, are 3 units wide. We'll call it meters. So they're actually larger than meters, but meters roughly. And so these wall units are 1 meter wide. So even if you put in 2 of them, like this, you'll still have a little bit of space to get through on the inside, see? And that's kind of the foundation of this entire setup, which we'll get to in a minute. But clearly we haven't really even gotten started with these units yet. There's a lot missing from them. They're not colored correctly. They don't have lights built in, none of that shit. So to start, I think we're going to go ahead and put the ceiling back in. And the reason that's important is because I deleted all of them. I was trying something else out. We've actually got some ceiling elements here, which we're just going to delete. But we need some proper ceiling elements, which should be under, what did I call them? Let's just take a look. What is this called? P ceiling. They're pressure elements, of course. So P ceiling grid. There you are. We've apparently got 2 of these, SMP and P. This one's a blueprint class, so if we drop the blueprint class in, it probably already has a light attached, see? And you can see that this radically lowers the top of the setup here. It's only 2 meters high, 2 units high, a lot of space above it. That's on purpose. We'll get to why as we move forward here. This light is off center because I changed how this looks. I re-exported it from another project, and it's just not in the right spot anymore. So we're gonna take this light and move it into the right spot, which is here. I know, big moves. And now when we copy paste this, you can see that we get lights every time. Very, very basic thing, right? Basically, same as putting together a Unity prefab. Is that correct? Yeah, it looks correct. So you can see that now that it's a much lower ceiling, we can sort of see how this would interact with this kitchen area. But the kitchen area is still awful in terms of the materials in use. So we're going to fix that. First off, let's take a look at this glow. Okay, glow's already set up with a white glow. Let's change that to a blue glow. And then we're going to go ahead and switch this interior system. This is currently this pale color, which we're not really using in this case. We're going to need to have a cloth color. So let's go over here and let's create ourselves some materials sections. We'll just create a new folder and call it materials. We'll just create a new material, which we'll call cloth. That's not how you spell cloth. That might be a little bit closer. Just drop that in right here. And you can see that that is obviously incorrect, but that's fine. We're going to pop it open and create a mesh. Night Fury says, do you have specific stream timings? Well, recently I've been not streaming. But normally I try to stream at this time on Wednesdays and Saturdays. I don't really stream for very long, maybe an hour or two, so you're not likely to see it, because I'm super lazy about streaming. I normally just do it to keep me on task for a couple hours a week. But I try not to miss too many of them. It's just something that I haven't been very good at recently. We're going to need to add in some texture modules here. Specifically, we want some noise. There we are, noise. Noise or vector noise? I don't actually know what the difference is. Okay, so this is the one that takes in a world position. Does it automatically take in the world position, or do I have to feed it the world position? Let's find out. So if we save this, it looks like it automatically takes in the world position for us. Now we've got this really, really lovely, I don't know, 70s tie-dye blotch sort of design. Let's see if we can bring that under control a little bit. If we select this, we can get this different cell noises and stuff. Basically, the cell noise is fine, but I really need it to be black and white. Voronoi looks like that, really? That's pretty shitty Voronoi. Do I have to increase the quality? Well, let's take a look at how it seems to see. No, it's screwed up. There must be something I don't understand about Voronoi noise here. It's not giving me any Voronoi. Interesting. This is still like multicolored, so what we're going to want to do is just break it out and choose one of the colors. So it doesn't really matter which one. What is it called? D? Is it called break or D or something? I think it's under vector. Vector ops, append, component, cross, dot, Fresnel, normalized, transform. It's not append, it's the opposite of append. Okay, this will probably work, right? If I just make it red, is it only red? Oh, okay. Well, this isn't how I wanted to do it, but it'll do it. It's a little bit easier than the way I wanted to do it. So, one of the advantages of this vector noise approach, having like all the colors, is that we can just call it once and get 4 distinct channels of noise, which are not identical, and that's really valuable. If we wanted to use more than one kind of noise, that would be super helpful. And now you can see it's black and white, right? But we don't actually want it to be black and white. We want it to be between 2 colors of our choosing. So here's a color, and here's a color, and then here is a... I don't think it's called... I think there is a specific, like, it's a 3-color lerp. Unfortunately, I'm not terribly familiar with this. Can we just lerp colors? Yeah, okay, so that's good. And just bring that here. And then obviously what we're going to want to do is change these colors into properties so that we can use them more freely. And this is going to be called B color. Can I use it with a space? I can. And this is going to be called A color. And we'll just select these as we like. Make it not a white, like a gray. And then the other one will be a darker gray with a little bit of green to it. That's too much green. There we are. That's not dark enough. A little bit darker than that, please. Alright, so now that we've got the same basic colors, we can take a look. And you can see that we've now got something that's still very pixely. If we wanted to make it less pixely, we could try and blur it, but I'm not 100% sure how. This is cell noise. If we change it over to a Perlin 3D noise, I think that'll give us a blurrier result, because the whole point of cellular noise is that that's a little bit blurrier, but it's still very sharply pixely. Well, let's grab the world position. Here it is. And if we wanted to, we could multiply the world position by another vector. Unfortunately for us, in order to actually do this multiply, I think we need to use a multiply vector. No, maybe not. Maybe I just need to manually specify a vector. So here's a vector. It looks like a color, but it's actually a vector. And what we're going to do is we're going to multiply it so that there is a very specific setup here. We don't want to treat this as a color. I don't know how to turn this into not a color, because what I need it to be is 1, 2, 1. Can I just say 1, 2, 1 and that'll work? I guess so. All right. So the y-axis should be, is this z up and down? Let's just take a look here. If I were to select this and change the z-axis here. Oh, so z is up and down. I multiplied z by 2 and it doesn't seem to have actually done anything. No, I multiplied y by 2. Okay, that's the problem then. So we need to just change this. Oh, stop that. There we are. Maybe make it 5. Let me just save that. And go on over and take a look. Well, I don't see any sign that that's different. Don't really know what's up. Let's go ahead and my guess is this isn't actually working. Can I get a vector here? No, that is a vector. Okay, I just had it going the wrong way. There we are. Very silly looking, but it's more or less correct. Now I think that we're going to have to tamp this way down. I think it's just a little bit too white. I need it to be more of a reserved color. That's a little bit too generic. Let's bring it down even further. That's better. Kind of a tiger stripe pattern at the moment, but we're just testing things out, so I'm not too concerned. Now I'm just going to plug in some basic stuff. Oh, that's not right. I accidentally hit F1, and it brought up a help menu, which is not what I needed. I wanted to hit 1. Make it 0 metal and 0 roughness. No, we want it to be 100% roughness. 100% rough. And save that. And I think that I've gone ahead and made it a little bit too aggressive now. We'll just try and find a happy medium here. That's probably the best we're going to get for the moment. Now, obviously, I don't plan to make this the permanent thing. These are all just blockouts. I'm testing to see whether or not this can work. So one of the things you might notice is that this is currently through the roof. That's because I was moving it around on this z-axis here, and they ended up damaging it. But that doesn't mean that this is actually incorrect, because a shower, any kind of thing with lots of plumbing, requires you to have a plumbing asset in this area. We need to have a way to supply this with plumbing. We have to. How do you get water to it? You need to put that into the ship. But I don't need it to be anything complicated like it often is in these games where you actually run pipes throughout the whole ship. So what we've got is we've got this other version where there are a couple of ways to just plonk piping units in. One of the piping units you can plonk in is literally just pipes. pipes. Here it is. It's not oriented correctly, exactly, but you can see the basic idea, right? It would be like this. Oh, I see these pipes are 100% inside out. Brilliant. I don't know why I never noticed that. My guess is I forgot to put a material in it. Well, it's got backface culling turned on. Did I just never... It doesn't look inside out here. Huh. Why is it inside out here? That's weird. Oh, you know what it is? Yeah. All right. I meant to do just only that, but it's okay. We'll export everything. Why not? Yep, there it is. So you can see that it's now off screen. We have to bring it back around. Just pop. There it goes. And this is one way to do it. But you can see that this is like industrial piping that's built for, you know, some kind of massive industrial section of the ship. It's probably not what you want. So what you're probably going to use is in-floor piping, which we already have set up here somewhere. It should be under P. There it is. It's under F for floor. Okay. And if we just bring this into the right space, unfortunately for us, we're doing something a little bit strange with some of these elements, and Unreal is not auto-snapping them very well. We'll have to figure that out later. Since it's supposed to be done by the player in play mode, it's not a big deal. But this is 0.25 meters. So 50 is too much and 10 is useless, which is annoying. There's no snap for 25, which means that if we do this, it's going to go too high. See that? I'll just manually type in 25 here. So what happens is that if you want to do the in-floor asset, then the floor is obviously going to take up some space. We'll rotate this just to get us a better view of some of the bits here. It doesn't really matter what the orientation is. But because there is a floor rise here, the ship is not always going to be completely flat, and we're going to get some fun elements. However, there are some stairs that will get automatically added in the game, but we have to add manually here. And it is, once again, invisible? What's going on with these stairs? Oh, that's right. The stairs are actually set up so that they are connected to the center of the room that they are moving into. And this is how the stairs will work. See, very, very basic setup, right? Now, if you're wondering why the stairs work like that and not some other way, it's because I can't guarantee that I know which direction this floor is going to be able to have stairs on, so I can't integrate the stairs into this floor unit. But I do know that you're always going to be able to walk in the middle of any adjacent area where you can reach this zone, because you can't put anything in the middle of these rooms unless it's, you know, done very, very purposefully. So I know that there will always be a staircase. If I can access this room from this room, there's always going to be one of these short stairs leading up. And so that's kind of what we're doing there. And what we're going to want to do here is add in some more units. What would we like next to a bathroom? Well, we could put in a door if we don't want the bathroom to be too obviously a bathroom sort of situation, but it's not that big a deal. The bathroom actually has some stuff. Night Fury says, do you have a YouTube channel? Yeah, of course I do. I can actually, I think it's actually linked on my stream information. I'm actually primarily YouTube. This is something I just do to stay focused. It's not the main point. Trying to think about what else to put up here, and I don't really think... Then we put in another bathroom, I suppose. I haven't done a whole bunch of stuff here, but what would you put next to a bathroom? I guess just another bathroom is fine. We just, swoop. There we go. Now we got 2-bathroom mode. Now, again, there should be some lights in these bathrooms, so we might as well go ahead and do that. If we hit blueprint add, we can do this here. We can call it a bathroom blueprint. That's fine. And that'll pop this up. So in here, we can add in whatever sort of customization we want. And later on, when we replace this bathroom mesh with something else, we'll be able to just substitute it right in. So it's very nice that way. It's super nice to have these blueprints. As nice as it is to have the blueprints, though, we definitely need to have a light here, or two. So we're just going to add a little point light, bring it over. There we are, put it in here. I need to turn off snapping for a little bit. This is a little bit too precise for that. Now this brightness is way, way too high. It's obviously at least an order of magnitude too high, and the attenuation radius needs to be way lower too. Even 300 might be too high. Let's bring it down to 150. Maybe 250. I do want it to reach the floor. And let's go ahead and make it an orange light. There we go. Now what we could do instead is, say, use a temperature. Using a temperature for your lighting instead of a light like brightness should allow us a more realistic sense of light. You can see how as the temperature goes down it turns red, and as it goes up it turns blue. These are specifically determined to be fairly realistic to real-world lighting, so instead of picking a value here in light color, we can simply change it here in temperature. This will line up with what actually happens in the real world, and you know, I think that's fine. We'll go ahead and do that. And then we're going to want to have another one of these bad boys for the other side, which we'll do just by inverting one of these values. I think it's X. Yes, there it is. And that'll give us two identical lights, one on each side. And we should be able to just save that and then close it. And then we've got some lights, see? However, this one is not the blueprint, so we'll delete that and then recopy it. No biggie. Shoot. Another option here we could do is, instead of having two bathrooms, we could have just one, like this, against the far wall, which also has merits. One of the advantages of this is we can put in furniture and stuff here. I haven't built any furniture yet. I built a proxy. Here's a proxy for my furniture. But you know, it's not... Well, I screwed that up. That is way off center. It's fine. It's a proxy. I didn't really intend to use it, but you don't really want to put a table next to the bathroom. I'm just showing you how it could look if we wanted it to. We'll leave it like that for now. Okay, let's just do a couple more things here. If on the other side we put our beds, because that would make sense, don't you think? Kind of off in the corner. Here's a bunk. Just drop it into the room like kapow. The nice thing about beds is that they do not require us to have any sort of additional resources. The beds are not fundamentally a... oh, I accidentally... That's interesting. So the export that I made, I did this thing where it just exports the unit from Blender, and it recombined all of the children into the same unit. If we take a look over here in Blender, we've got this bed right here, right? But the person on the bed is not in the bed in terms of, it's not the same mesh. It's a different mesh that's a child mesh of the bed. And it looks like they combined all of the meshes together when they exported it, which is a fascinating detail I'll have to remember, because that actually makes my job much easier. It means I can create meshes out of multiple components, and they'll export as a single composite mesh. Super useful, maybe. So if we can take a look and see whether or not there's anything inside this mesh bed. Where's the bed? Bed? Cabinets? Bed. I just want to see whether this is considered one mesh. It certainly seems to be. I mean, look at this, all these material slots. Clearly what happened is they were exported as a single mesh unit. It's not, I mean, it's almost certainly considered to be a submesh. I'm sure that there's like 3 or 4 submeshes here. But that's fine. That's great. That's great news. It's super useful. I'll keep it in mind. For now, we'll just live with it as it is. Now, the beds, we could light, but I'm not going to bother at the moment. I don't like the lights we're getting on these roof elements. We're going to go ahead and just open these up and change the light. Now, I sort of made them white, but I think it's a good idea to switch it over to temperatures, right? If we take a look at the temperature of the light, we don't want it to be super bright. An orange light would be good, but we don't want it to be down at 3500. 3500 was really low. And we're going to want to bring down the intensity to maybe 500. We'll just save that. And that's a little bit better. It was pretty actinic before. Now, apart from the beds, we could say put in some cabinets. And you can see how tight that space gets when you add in both walls. And then over here, we've got the very, very placeholdery cockpit. And of course, a rear entrance. Do we have the rear hatch? I think that the rear hatch is just temporary. I don't think it's... Yeah, it's just a block at the moment. I don't have anything that actually opens. Let's see, what else do we want in here? A desk, that would be a good idea. We'll put that next to our... Oh, I see that the desk also got a person coming along with it. You can see how that doesn't line up very well at all. The cockpit needs a lot of love, which is fine. We can do that. It's not quite ready yet. It's okay. We'll figure it out later. Obviously, that's not how you get into the cockpit, crawling through that area. So this mesh here has a bunch of lights attached to it in Blender, but the lights are not coming through here inside of Unreal. So we could add those lights, and I think that would be a good idea. But there is one thing worth noting. We've got this interior hard setup, which is just a base color. See that? We actually need this interior hard setup to be a little bit more complex than that. Because the whole point is it's basically plastic. So get rid of some defaults and do it proper. And then what we'll do is we'll add in some lights here by converting this over into... WDesk W1. What is this already a blueprint? Oh, interesting. They have strange names because they're recombined meshes. Okay, that's interesting. We're just going to go ahead and do this anyway. We'll just call it WDesk Blueprint. And here we've got our WDesk Blueprint. We're going to add in some lights. And basically the lights we want are going to be lights for the monitors. Because it's super nice when you get that good glow. Excuse me, got the hiccups going pretty serious here. When you get that good glow coming in off the monitors. So unfortunately we've got some random astronaut kind of in the way, but we'll just live with that for now. And okay, so that's still got snapping turned on. Let's unsnap that. And obviously it's just much too large, so we're going to go ahead and change the size. I think 32 is probably more our speed. That's better. And of course this is much too bright. Maybe 300? And let's change this to blue, like a really blue, maybe a blue-green. And we're going to want to change the barn door angle to like that, something pretty aggressive. Now we're not using temperature for these because these are not that kind of light. This is a just the glow of a screen. So we're picking a strange color because that's the color on the screen. The light is not just being generic warm or generic cold. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now we've got that light there. And if we wanted to see how that looks, we should be able to... What is it to recompile the light? Lighting, build lighting only, Control Shift semicolon. I was trying Alt semicolon, it wasn't working. Now the reason we're baking it, oh, you know what? That's not going to work because I didn't mark any of these as static. That's fine. We'll wait for it to finish whatever this is. There we are. Oh, right. Most of these don't have effective light planes. I forgot about that. This is, we're just going to go ahead and delete this light. What is this light? Is it inside of this? I think it might be. Yeah, there it is. So we're just going to get rid of it. Boom. Goodbye. And then this is what we're left with. But there's a couple of issues with this. The first issue is that we didn't mark any of these as static. And the second issue is that we didn't mark any of them with the correct UV maps they need in order to actually be unwrapped. So we would need to go through and unwrap them all and re-export them, which I'll do off screen. There's no reason for you to watch it, before you can really get a good glow off of this desk. But you can sort of see it. You can sort of see how it's working. It's just that it's not real clear because we've got 3 overlapping lights at this point, and it's definitely a little bit obnoxious. If I am allowed to edit the lights here, I don't think I am. No, I could edit the lights by creating a light composite situation, but I don't believe it lets me edit the light from in here. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. If we bring this intensity... Oh, okay. So I can. Good. So this is an instance which is being different than the others. So this light has been turned off. And now you can see just how incredibly over bright that is. So because it's obviously way too bright, we're going to just pull those lights way down. 300 is clearly too much. Bring them down to 100 and compile that. Another reason that they're way too bright is because area lights compute differently. Is it these area lights after all? Might be something else. We're going to bring them down to 0 and save it and compile it. And you can see that it's not helping. So the issue here is not these lights. The issue here is that the light coming down from the top isn't being blocked. So to block that light, we're going to put the roof back on, which I deleted earlier. There is a difference between a ceiling and a roof. We can put the roof back on simply by selecting all of these underlying floors. Come on. Like this, and then copy pasting, and then rotating. Okay, let's turn snapping back on for this. There we are. And so now we've got our ceilings and our roof, and we can see it's a darker area without that ridiculously over bright setup. But this is still too bright, so we're going to go back into a blueprint here, bring it down to 150 per light, and I think that'll do. Even that might be a little too bright. Bring it down to 100 after all. Yeah, that'll do. Now, in theory, in order to get this computer to actually exist, we would want some underground computing or circuitry or something. I don't really know. Well, we'll just keep filling stuff out for now because I'm just having fun with it. We don't have a kitchen yet. I think a good spot for the kitchen would be right here. So let's go ahead and put it in. Oh. Well, unfortunately, I screwed that up, didn't I? Here we are. That's better. So if we were to spin the kitchen around like this, and the idea is that the kitchen is just some place for us to get some food or something. Yeah. Just playing around with the interiors, seeing what I can get out of it. If we push this back, you can see how it compares to the desk. So the desk is a little bit more on the small side in that it's not a full-length desk, whereas this is a full-length thingy. One of the things we could do if we wanted to, move that down here somewhere, just out of the way. We could drop in a computer wall, because we have a wall specifically for computers. Wall Art Deco, wall bunk, wall computer. Ugh. Somehow I've got this all screwed up. It's, oh, it just needs to be mirrored. That's fine. We'll just... That's not the right axis. That is. So you can see how this sort of thing would work in this sort of situation. But this is like heavy-duty computer shit. This is like if you wanted to run an AI or something, you'd use this. For a desk like this, it hardly seems necessary. We're just kind of goofing around and having some fun with it. We've got some interior elements here that we could replace the material with. Boomy. That didn't seem to take very well. Well, that was fun. So the core issue with this whole approach is how to make it so that the player can build this stuff, and then what can they do with it when they're done with it? You know, how is it going to work? Right now I'm putting this shit together in scene edit mode, which means that it's, you know, my personal crap that I'm putting together. Did I delete a whole bunch of stuff? I might have... Oh, this is because I did the relighting. I did the relighting and nothing is properly lit because it doesn't have the right... There we are. Nothing has the right UV map to be lit, so that's why that was all screwed up. Anyway, as I was trying to say, I'm putting this shit together in scene edit mode right now, which is fine-ish, but obviously what I would need to do is have a much more aggressive way to allow players to build this stuff. But until I know what sort of testing it can go through, what sort of play it has, all that jazz, there's not really a whole lot of point to allowing the players to build stuff because there wouldn't be any players. It would just be me in play mode instead of me in scene edit mode, right? It's kind of pointless. So the idea is that we would want to move from here into some of the more simulationist parts, but I'm not really sure about the best way to do that, and I don't really want to do it on screen. Also, we've got these situations like here where you can see that the lighting is really screwed up, and the reason for that is pretty simple. The UV maps don't really exist for this. They're not well done. But the problem is that this is like the biggest problem with Unreal. It's so obnoxious. Unreal refuses to create light map UVs on its own. It refuses. And because of that, you can't use anything in Blender. Well, it looks like I don't know whether the system crashed or not here. No, it just for some reason my browser just crashed. It refuses to build its own light maps, which means that you can't do anything in Blender which uses a mirror modifier, because the mirror modifier mirrors the UV maps, and therefore they're not suitable for light maps, and therefore Unreal chokes to death on them. Which means that you've got to manually apply the mirror modifier and unwrap every single asset, which is a destructive process. The dumbest shit. And I keep looking into it, thinking that I have to be wrong, and I never have found a way to do it that wasn't just total crap. So here we can check the light map, bias and resolution, but we can't actually tell it to just generate one. Dipshit. So here we have generate light map UVs. It's already selected, and it just doesn't work. So if we were to hit F1 there, it'll pull up here. Static Mesh Editor UI, generate light map. Okay, so generate light map UVs isn't even... All right. Maybe it's changed in the past version. So this doesn't actually generate them. It just copies the normal UV map over into the light map UV section. So it just duplicates. It doesn't create. I could go just for all dynamic lighting, I guess. But the lighting that bakes is so good. On the other hand, these are supposed to be spaceships, and maybe, if they're flying around. So there are lots of ways to think about lighting in this sort of situation. One of those ways is the interiors might have some baked light with some dynamic light on top and stuff like that. I don't know. Sorry, I'm still reading about this, and it's the same as it always was. There's nothing even vaguely correct. Alas. So Mifa says, can you generate it in Blender and assign a UV map here, like set a UV channel? Yes, I can, but if I've got mirror set up, it's going to mirror the UV map, and then it'll be overlapped. That's the core issue here. So if I were to go over here into Blender, for example, any of these that I have mirroring on, there actually aren't very many in this particular asset. Here's one. This has got mirroring. See? So if we were to look at the UV map for this, which I can do if I remember how. There's like a 1 pixel. There it is. You can see that it's not really an ideal UV map, but it's going to be duplicated precisely when I mirror it, which means that there's going to be overlap. And that doesn't matter which UV channel it's assigned to. It's going to mirror all of the UV channels. And unfortunately for us, there is no export option in this export system, as far as I can tell. Excuse me, as far as I can tell, at least. Let's just take a quick look. Maybe there is like a UV mirror thing. Probably not, though. That would be pretty complicated. No, I don't see any options for that. It's fine. It's not fine. It's really obnoxious, but there's nothing I can do about it. I already decided to accept it. So here I am accepting it. This is so strange to me that of all of the things Unity can't do, the one thing it can do just fine is create UV maps for lighting. But for some reason, that's not possible for Unreal, and it has never been possible for Unreal, and I just do not get it. Mifa says, that's dumb, let me look it up. Great, if you find out how to do it, let me know, because I've looked it up dozens of times with no luck. But, I mean, while we're here, we could always just do some UV unwrapping and get things to work. All we need to do is make sure that we're not UV unwrapping anything that's got a mirror modifier attached to it. You know what? Let's go ahead and just add this to this quick menu here. There. What is this? It's just a wall. We don't need it. The other thing we need to do is get rid of these people. I'll just delete them because they're merging into our setup, and that's clearly not quite right. Mifa says the mirror modifier has a UV option, but it doesn't work. Yeah. So if we're talking... Whoa, what just happened? I think Blender just crashed. I'll just go ahead and bring Blender back, because fuck you. I don't know when we last saved. I think it might have been quite a while ago. I haven't really made any significant changes, but we will have to re-export things. Okay, so as you can see, we no longer have the UV on the favorites here. We'll just go ahead and put it back on. Smart UV project. Thank you. What I was saying is about the mirror here. If we go over here into this mirror, we have the option to mirror these UV elements, but it won't work unless we can mirror them around the 0.5 or something similar, and that's not how it's built. Don't really know. It might be possible. I've never really tried it. We could try it with this door. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and try it. Hit save so we don't have a serious problem. UV editor, door. If we then just UV unwrap the door, like so, you can see that we get this really terrible UV unwrap. Try that one more time with a little bit less sucking. That's still pretty bad. It's fine. So if we come over here to the mirror, we can try and mirror the U axis. And this tries to... Oh, it does do from the 0.5. So if we were to then mirror around an individual origin, no. Why is active point not an option? Do I have to select a point in order for there to be an active point option? No, it's just gonna suck. Okay, that's fine. If we scale x 0.5, now what should happen when we mirror? Let's find out. So it does work. See? So now let's see whether or not that works when we are in Unreal. That's going to be the question. So we'll leave that set up and we'll re-export this particular object. And we'll go back over into Unreal and see whether or not it complains about the light map. So if we bring the door in, which one are we? We got two doors. This is a pressure small door. I think this one's from the other, before I started to do it in a separate area. So we're going to go ahead and just delete it. Put this in here. We just drop that in. And what we want to do is get this door to be properly lit without any problems. So I don't know how to test just this door. Can I rebuild just this one door's lighting? I don't think so. I think I have to rebuild all the lighting. Can I check by opening the door here and checking on its UVs? UV. Channel 1. Channel 0. So this is channel 0. This is the one we actually generated, and you can see it generated correctly. So maybe this will work okay. This is the light map repacked version, which I guess it does do a pretty significant amount of repacking. I don't know why it sucks so bad at it. If it does this much work, you think it would not suck. But maybe this will work. Maybe you were completely right, Mifaz, in your instinct that there is, in fact, possibly a way to do it. What we're going to do is we are going to create a new level. Drop the door in here. Rotate it back a little bit. Mark it as static. Is this marked as static? Okay, so there's no check mark that happens here. And then we're going to take the lights and we're going to bring up a point light and drop it right here. And we're going to put it off center specifically so that we know if it's been mirrored and it works that way. Because there's a lot of times when the mirroring will error out. And we'll just take a look here. And if it works, hooray! I just tried to drink through the lid, which obviously isn't the best way to do things. Oh, Mifaz, I think you fixed it. So the answer is that Unreal can't do it. But Blender, you can. You can set up the mirror modifier to automatically do it. All you have to do is pack everything into either the left half or the top half of the UV section. And then when it mirrors, you just mirror it either down or right as you prefer. And I think that's going to work great. Yeah, great. I love it. Perfect. Let's go back into the other directory. Or the other... What? Why do I need to save all... Whatever. It's fine. What? I don't want to save a level. There we are. So to take advantage of this, we're just going to spend a little bit of time going through and fixing all of these UV setups. Most of these are not mirrored because they were initially mirrored, and then I stopped doing that because, you know, you only need to mirror them for so long, and then you want to do something else. You want to make sure that they work. However, the Smart UV Project in this particular version of Blender seems to be worse than the Smart UV Project normally is. I'm getting a lot of non-ortho projections, which are pretty crap. Okay, that's where it crashed last time. Apparently there is something wrong with the chairs. That's super weird. Interesting. Why is this... Why does my quick menu keep resetting? That's so strange. That looks already unwrapped. So we'll save this. We're going to close Blender and then reopen Blender. And then check. Yeah, okay, so now it's there. So this is making the system barf. The fuck? I mean, I don't even need that, so I don't really care. But I can't imagine why that particular setup is causing it to barf. That's super strange. We're going to go ahead and Smart UV project this. Okay, so that works okay. Just shrink it down. And then we're going to Smart UV project this. Okay, so it's the chairs. Really weird. What's wrong with these fucking chairs? There's nothing mathematically complicated about them. They're super basic. So what that means is that we're going to select the whole thing, everything, and then we're just going to look at it from above and just project this. I don't know. Can we just unwrap it with a normal unwrap command? How do we say yes? Well, I don't know. We're not gonna bother. It's just a temporary thing anyway, so fuck it. Smart UV project, kapow. Smart UV project, kapow. Smart UV project. This one should be mirrored. Is it not mirrored? That's interesting. Huh. Well, it's fine, I guess. And I think we've got like a floor somewhere. There it is. This one's mirrored, so we'll Smart UV project, and then we will shrink it down by 0.5 on just the x-axis, and then mark it as mirror. And here we've got stairs, which are also mirrored. Nope, they're not mirrored, so we'll just Smart UV project. And that should be everything, so we'll just Export everything. Shoot. And back over into Unreal. Pull all these things up here. Oh, these are materials. Okay, well, it doesn't really matter. So now the interiors should bake okay. The exterior lights are going to be a problem still. We could open the other Blender file. You know what? Give me a moment and I'll do that. Do 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 do. Is this the right one? I think this is the right one. Yeah, this is the right one. All right. So here we've got a number of these, and they're mostly all mirrored. So we're going to use that trick and see whether we can carry the day. Now, even though we say that, in the end, we're not going to mark these as bakeable. I don't even know whether we're going to mark the interior ones as bakeable, but I'd prefer not to have them barf all the time, you know? So we want to reduce the amount of barfing. And so let's go over here to the UV editor, mark it as a mirror U. And then we are going to just unwrap smartly and then scale X 0.5. Now, obviously, this does involve crushing it a little bit. We're just kind of doing it fast and furious here. It's not a big deal. Here, I believe that this is the one we're using at the moment, even though there's one in the other file as well. So we'll just smart UV project, and again, let's crush it. No. This is the one that was giving us the most notable issues because it's mirrored 4 directions. See that? Tons of mirroring going on. Don't know whether or not this one's going to work. I think we can make it work if we just crush it all down into one corner. That's what I'm hoping anyway. We'll find out soon. Here's a little... Oh, this one's not mirrored. That's fine. And then here is, of course, the worst thing. Well, this is fine. Let's mirror this. This is the cockpit, the terrible, terrible cockpit, and this we don't need. Goodbye. This cockpit is just not anywhere near being in the right place. It needs to be really reworked. For now, however, I think what we're going to do is just modify it slightly so that it's a little bit less terrible. We'll work on it more later. I just don't want to deal with it at the moment. Is this mirrored? It is. So we're going to go ahead and just set it up so it doesn't barf. Might that not work? There. Now the hull elements are also problems because they are all also mirrored, but we can do the same thing. Just keep doing it. We are, however, going to need to, you know what, maybe these hull elements would be better off manually applied. And the reason for that is because there's a solidify modifier, and we don't want to, that would be really a challenge. Any of these that have a solidify modifier are probably not going to work. We'll just leave it like that. We're not going to worry. Let's undo this one, bring it back to where it was. There we are. We just export everything. Back to Unreal. Grind. All right, so let's check these tanks. Go into the tank and look at the UVs. UV channel 0, UV channel... Oh, see how this didn't work? So we can't do it on 2 axes. We can only do it on 1 axis. Well, the good news is that we can always just mirror it on one of these axes and then on the other. There we are. So... All right, that looks better. So now it should work, and if we bake it, some of these should bake better. These whole elements are probably going to still barf. The table I knew we were going to have problems with, but the medium engine... Oh, that's the small engine. Engine 1. That's not medium. That's module. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to make the small engine actually function. You can see we've got some really nasty errors on these pieces of hull here. That's to be expected. But these medium engines, the engine 3 engines, are being correctly lit. Congratulations, us. If we go in here, we can sort of see the interiors. Got some Z fighting here and there, but that's due to an utter lack of... I'm just brute forcing those walls at the moment, and so they're all overlapping and shit. We can fix it later. We could fix it right now if we wanted to export all that shit. This point light, for some reason, is off because I turned it off. Of course I did, never mind. For some reason, it's doing what I told it to do. You can see how we've got these reflections working just fine now. We don't really have a ship that's complex enough to need baked light. And that's good because I don't know whether or not we're going to be able to bake it in the final version. Probably not. Now we could change out these walls just a touch to try and get them to be a little bit less obnoxious. And the way we do that is simply by selecting all of the ones on any given axis and reducing X to 0.95? No, not X. Y to 0.95. Yeah. And then we're going to want to, well, it doesn't fix it, does it? We would have to modify these as well. Well, let's try it. Y 0.95 or 0.99, and then Y of 1.99. And then here, that's not it. That's it. Y of 0.99. And then we'll just rebake everything and see whether there's any Z fighting. I'm glad you showed up, Mifaz. That was super useful. I'm going to stop streaming soon, but I don't want to feel like I'm blowing that off because that was incredibly important. I can now do non-destructive exporting into Unreal, which was not an option before. It's so bright in here. I think it's probably too bright. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out what we want it to be like. It may be that we want to embed the lights somewhere other than the roof. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for stopping in. We're going to call it a day. I'm going to take a screenshot or two, I suppose, and then we will just be done for the day. All right. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.